And we know that our holidays or holy convocations is explicit. And being that we were on a 13-month or lunar calendar, which has 13 separate months. We're agricultural people, so our days would always fall no different, because the Julian calendar always skipped a day. If it has on a Monday, it goes to a Tuesday. So it's always skipping, whereas the lunar calendar is always on the same day. So Yahweh God, and we like to celebrate the holy convocation of our God, because these are what He has told us to do. And what it does, it sets us in harmony with Him. We have to remember, we always want to be in harmony with Yahweh God. So we will start by saying our opening prayer. Yahweh God, we thank you for this day, upon this holy day, Yahweh God. Yahweh God, we thank you and we pray that your spirit of obedience be upon us, that we may walk and do the things that please you for our good. May Yahweh bless us and keep us and strengthen us as we go. As we go, Yahweh, may we go in the mind and the spiritual mind to be ever humble and obedient. We thank you, Yahweh, may we ever be conscious of your kindness and generosity that you give so generously. Yahweh, Elohayama. 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 May Yahweh continue to bless us. May the Spirit of our God rest upon us. May we walk in that Spirit and do the will of Yahweh God. The Shabbatah, Atniga, Akwadawashah, Yahweh, Makabada, Berwaka, Allahayama, Ashura, La'ad, Nisayura, Apaladaya, Makhasadawa, Mataya, Yagadala, Yahweh, Yagadala, Allahayama, Shama'a, Shala, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Akhada. May Yahweh bless us and keep us and strengthen us. May the Spirit of our God be ever with us. Amen. Amen. So, as we proceed to learn the importance of obedience that brings us into harmony with our God, Yahweh. Yahweh God says to us the things that will strengthen us, and that we will be achad, one, with Him. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is achad, one. And He said, how can two walk together except they agree? And we want to walk with Yahweh God. We want to agree, and that way, in agreement, we must keep the commandments as it has been written. And we pray for His guidance and His obedience, that His Spirit be upon us. So to celebrate the Holy Convocation of Leviticus, starting chapter 23, Leviticus chapter 23, starting at verse 33. Okay?
It says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the sons of Israel.
My son Israel.
They say unto.
Yeah.
Speak unto my son Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It says a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day.
Yes, so we can see that it is a day, or it shows the precision, as it says, everything upon his day, besides the Shabbat of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your free will offering, which ye gave unto Yahweh. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land. So we would go, we're agricultural people, and that was the end gathering, because it says that ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Shabbat, and on the 8th day shall be a Shabbat, which will rest, see? And ye shall take you on the first day the broths of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and broths of thick trees, and willow of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your God 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths. 7 days all that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths. That your generation may know that I made my son Israel, to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. And Moses declared unto my son Israel the feast of Yahweh. So Yahweh God was showing Israel so that Israel would never forget this awesome journey that they took, and what would make them what they had become, a great and awesome nation. Yahweh God was always performing before Israel spectacular things. When they went down into Egypt, they would go in to possess a land. And that land that they would possess would be an awesome land. And as he says, so far, and let's count and show you what they would do. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto the land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hivites, the Amorites, the Jebusites, the Hivites, and the Perizzites. So what I count was 6 large nations that was in that perimeter of what they call the Canaanites. And they would go down, and they would possess the land through force, through not going down signing a treaty, but going down and taking over a land. And Yahweh, in his word, told told the children of Israel why they was going to get this land. He told them. And the thing about it is that when we do the research to understand, well, how did the children of Israel get this awesome and beautiful land, and by what was the measure that Yahweh measured them to get a land that was like this? And Yahweh told you, because the people in the land was wicked. They were wicked. And it makes that statement of their wickedness. And Yahweh said that he would give us this land because of their disobedience. And Yahweh told us not to become as though we got the land for our righteousness, but for the wickedness of what these nations was doing. And therefore Yahweh said that he would spew them out. So I want you to realize that all that we did was by measure of righteousness. And Yahweh did not go down and deal with a nation of people that was good. He went down and gave us that land because that nation was not good, and they were not doing the things that was acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh. So Yahweh God saw that they were doing things that was of an abominable practice. And therefore, because you might say, well, why didn't Yahweh let them know? That's what Yahweh God is his right. It is his right to do. That's why he said, your ways are not my ways, nor your ideas my ideas. And Yahweh told them, he says in Leviticus chapter 18, now it says here, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled which I cast out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquities thereof upon it, and the land itself vomit out the inhabitants. And we read in our work, and that's in Leviticus, but we read in our work that you can defile the land with negative action. In other words, when you do things that are not appropriate, you defile the land. And things begin to happen in the land. And Yahweh makes that statement in the book of the prophecy when he told that the earth has become defiled under the inhabitants that abide. He said the earth, when you look at it, you say to yourself, you mean people have that much power to where they can infest the very physical earth beneath their feet by their own negative action. They can bring about their own destruction. And when we look at these things, we can say to ourselves, we must be cautious how we walk upon the earth. And just like the earth is being defiled by those that are dealing at a level of homosexuality. Even in Isaiah, in the prophecy, it says, behold, Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattered abroad the inhabitants thereof. And what it says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. In other words, there is even, and that's in Isaiah 24 verse 5. But even in the Psalms, it talked, Psalm 82, it talked of what they would do. Psalm 82 told you how they would disannul these things that supports the foundation of the earth. And therefore they bring upon destruction upon themselves. It says in Psalm 82 verse 5, they know not, neither will they understand, they walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. The foundations, the supporting things, the supporting elements that supports the well-being of this earth is out of course. Because of the inhabitants, of what they're doing upon the earth, how they have defiled the earth. And therefore, in their defilement, they're bringing about a destruction on the earth. Because their action is not something that Yahweh God approve of. So I like to start off with our lesson where Yahweh God, and let us turn to Micah chapter 1. Micah chapter 1. Chapter 1, starting from verse 1. Well, let's start to, Micah chapter 1.
The word of Yahweh that came to Micah, the Morasite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz.
Okay, can we go to Malachi chapter 1, verse Malachi.
Malachi verse 1.
Yes, starting at chapter 1, verse 1.
The burden of the word of Yahweh to the son to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel.
So we can see by that Yahweh said that he hate Esau. And he said he loved Jacob. And when we go into to be informed that these were two nations of people in Genesis chapter 25, that these were two nations of people that was to be born in the earth. Genesis chapter 25, starting at verse 23.
And Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when
Okay, this is saying that the elder shall serve the younger, and we go into Genesis chapter 27, starting at verse 27.
It says, he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore God give me thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be that blesseth thee.
Okay, so and let us go to 38, where we see that Yahweh God has given a very, well, let me finish this. We just read the blessing that Isaac has blessed Jacob with. And he says, and his father Isaac said unto him, come near now and kiss me, my son. And when he kissed him, and he began the blessing that he bestowed upon his son, and he said, the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which Yahweh has blessed. Therefore, Elohim give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that cursed thee, and blessed he that blessed thee. So we go over, starting at the same chapter, verse 30, that he also gives a blessing to Esau. What does he say?
And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing? My father bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven, but dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, and thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So we can see that the brother would have the sword, and the brother will seek through the sword to do such a wicked act. And if we go into the book of Obadiah, we know that as Yahweh God so stated, that he hated Esau. Esau would be hated because of his dealings with not just anybody. Esau would not just deal with, he wouldn't hate him because he dealt with anybody that way. He hated him because he dealt with who that way? His brother. His brother. There were two nations that was in his womb. And his brother would rise up against his brother and slay him and do an awesome job of getting rid of him because his brother hated him. And it tells you that. That's an awesome story when we read it with the understanding that Yahweh wants us to read it with. So when we go here and we see that in the book of Obadiah, starting at chapter 1 at verse 9, what does it say?
And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end of every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter.
Okay, go ahead.
For the violence against their brother Jacob shame shall cover thee.
So what did he say? It was the violence, and who did he say? It wasn't just a violence against Jacob, it was a violence against his brother. That was his own brother that he would execute such violence against. Go ahead.
It says, for the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem.
Didn't they do that? All day, everybody got a piece of Jerusalem. And he said, and strangers cast lots upon Jerusalem. And go ahead.
Even thou was as one of them.
Yes, he was a collaborator against his own brother. So when Yahweh said he hated him because he perpetrated a crime against his own brother with strangers, and he had also became a stranger to his own brother, to do a wickedness against his own brother. But we can see by the reading, he had predestined his whole act to be that way. He said, the days of mourning for my father's at hand, and I shall slay my brother. He already said that, and he was given the sword. So what does it say? He says here, and they cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. Go on. But what? Go to 12.
But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in a day that he became a stranger.
That's right.
Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Yes, see? Go ahead.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people.
My people, he said, Yahweh said, not this, you shouldn't have entered into the gates of the people. He said, you shouldn't have entered into the gates of my people, belonging to him. He said, in the day of their distress, you should never have done that. They should have left Jerusalem alone. Go ahead.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yeah, that should not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldst thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own hand.
Yeah, see? Now, see, that's what he said. That's what he said. And is a very, we can verify the truth of what Yahweh constantly says. So when Yahweh says things, we have to weigh it that he said it for reason, because it has merit. It has truth to it because of what they have done. Yahweh said, he said, nah, I'm going to deal with the heathens, because the heathens dealt so treacherously. And Yahweh said, he going to do what? He said, I'm going to do to them what they did to you. I'm going to bring it upon their own heads. And that's why he said, therefore wait ye upon me, said Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I might assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So you hear what Yahweh said? Because of what they've done. They have defiled all this stuff, and Yahweh wants us to read it so that we might set our confidence in him, though we might see this destruction. It's not for our worst, it's for our best. And therefore we will live in the Ruach of Yahweh that will determine our outcome, because this is all going to be done away with. And this is why, because Yahweh said in here, For the day of Yahweh is near unto all the heathens that as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. So in other words, how they have plotted, how they have schemed, how they have dealt with us and took us out of our land, they should never have gone back into Jerusalem and touched it. See, you got to realize they were never to go into Jerusalem and touch it. That was that was grounds that they were supposed to leave alone. They wasn't supposed to go there. So when you hear of these, that's why he says in Zechariah